Good evening. This is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Vanessa Victor. Let's get started with the national news. The Minister of Energy, Dr. Kalemani, is ordered for the arrest of two senior officers from electricity distribution company JUMEME at Maisome Island in Sengerema district, Mwanza region, for allegedly selling to residents 1 unit of electricity for 3,500 shillings instead of 100 shillings.
I purchased electricity unit for 3,500 per unit, which has forced a lot of people not to use electricity because it is too expensive. Those responsible must be placed under arrest and provide us with some answers. I've received complaints about people having to pay per unit. This cannot be tolerated. It is against the system of supplying electricity in rural areas. We are going to go to every homestead so that those who have been denied their rights can be paid.
And shortly after the start of the pesticide spraying season for cashew nut saplings, inspectors from Tanzania Pesticides Research Institute, TPRI, in collaboration with the police force, have arrested individuals selling substandard pesticides in Tandahimba district.
Useme unakataa. Yaani useme unakataa na ninakuja siwezi nikachela yangu hii hapo na nani kila kitu siwezi nikaiacha. Hivi ndugu yangu sikiliza. Nisikilize basi mbona unajua katika sheria inasema sumu zote.
The law prohibits the sale of pesticides in an open area where there is strong sun.
Cha kwanza ni elimu.
There is not enough information on harmful substances and most of us are ignorant.
And two Chama cha Demokrasia na Maendeleo Chadema party members have collected presidential nomination forms from their party, pledging to address the problem of lack of employment and to restore national unity if elected.
Ambayo tofauti yako wewe ya chama cha kisiasa.
I wish for a Tanzania that political differences based on party affiliation will not be something to divide us, and one where anyone can work with confidence.
Mfumo wetu wa elimu ni mfumo unaokatisha tamaa kadri mtu anavyosonga mbele.
The education system is hopeless. As one progresses, we must have a system that is motivating and not one where a student is faced with a lot of challenges.
Maize farmers in Songwe have begun to benefit from maize prices, which have gone up from 7,500 shillings to 11,000 shillings from the National Food Reserve Agency NFRA after the government changed the market for the harvest in Bozi district to become the main zone center.
By bringing the market close to farmers, we've reduced transport cost from the farm to the market, and the price is good. We've chosen Songwe because as a region, as per last year's statistics, it was the third region in food production. We were advised by the government not to buy maize less than 500 from farmers, so we started at 550.
And engineers building the new bus station at Morsi Municipal Council at a cost of 28 billion shillings have been advised to build water drainage infrastructure underground where there is a spring. This is to enable water to enter the network of two large wells that will be built to prevent the water from flowing into the station. This was said by the Minister of State in the President's Office for Regional Administration and Local Government, Suleiman Jaffo, who earlier also launched a 1-kilometer tarmac road from Rao Madukani to KCMC.
Water will enter into special trenches. There will be joint wells, but at the bottom there must be trenches which are connected. The cost of this project is 28.8 billion to completion. So far, the government has given 5 billion, but at the beginning of June, water was found underground, which slowed down the speed of construction. We had to consult experts in order to establish the source. Moshi Municipal Council has completed the road project, which is 1 kilometer long, under the urban modernization project.
The Deputy Minister of Works, Communication and Transport for Zanzibar, Mohammed Ahmad Salum, has said that the government has approved for some construction jobs for the new Zanzibar airport to be conducted by locals and not to wait for experts from China.
Work must carry on, so by September the project is handed over to us as promised. We shall fight so that more workers are added to this project. I'm confident that the project will be completed on time. There was a challenge with COVID-19 pandemic, which affected the country and the world at large, but we stood strong and kept going. We are at 55%, but just as we have worked 45% in 1 month, and work is going on well.
And that is all for the national news. International news is up next. And in international news, police in the Democratic Republic of Congo have foiled demonstrations involving members of the Lucha Youth Organization and opposition parties, including President Felix Tshisekedi's UPDS party, that were held to oppose the appointment of the new leader of the Independent Election Commission in the country.
If the city's mayor has decided to use police to hit us, we have said we will protest until a solution is found. We asked the Electoral Commission that stole the elections last time to be replaced, but we are shocked that they are putting the same one which has harassed us.
As Rwanda commemorates 26 years since the country's liberation, Rwandans have been urged to put aside ethnic differences, which were the main cause of Tutsis fleeing the country before the 1994 genocide.
Those who still have tribalistic mentalities must change their views and stop this, as it is of no benefit to Rwandans. We have been left with one battle, and that is against those who hoard property, leaders who forget their responsibilities.
Watu wote waliopo madarakani wanapaswa watambue kuwa wanawatumikia Wanyarwanda na wanatakiwa kuwajibika.
Byaba ngombwa akanabibazwa.
2 days after President Uhuru Kenyatta lifted the travel ban in Nairobi, Mombasa and Mandera counties, Kenyans have turned up in big numbers at bus stations to board buses going to upcountry areas as they look forward to seeing family members they've been separated from due to the coronavirus pandemic.
Tusidanganyane hapa ya kwamba huu ugonjwa hatuko nao. Ugonjwa huko. Kwa wale ambao watachukua nafasi hii kurudi manyumbani, tuasema pia hiyo ni sawa, lakini ujue warudi kwa nyanya, kwa babu, warudi kwa wazee wenu, warudi kwa familia yako.
And the Ministry of Health in Uganda has warned that it may not be possible to achieve their objective of curbing the coronavirus pandemic if citizens continue to ignore regulations aimed at fighting the pandemic, which include wearing masks, frequent washing of hands and maintaining social distance, as the number of COVID-19 cases has reached 977.
Now, we are still in stage 3.
We are now still in stage 3, but there is a possibility that we will get back to stage. However, there is also a possibility we could enter stage 4, which is very bad, and this will happen if the behavior among our people of not wearing masks and social distancing.
Watu wa Uganda
Ugandans are saying that there is no COVID and that it is finished in Uganda. So they're doing everything normally with no social distancing or precaution.
And an easy calm is settled over Germany and much of the EU as governments urge their citizens to stay vigilant against the novel coronavirus, even as new infections drop overall and summer holidays beckon. Let's turn to Berlin for the latest from there with William Glucroft, our correspondent with our media partner Deutsche Welle. So, William, Angela Merkel is currently speaking before the European Parliament. So far, what was expected, and so far, how is that going?
Yes, Angela Merkel has made her first trip outside of Germany since the pandemic began, and that's to Brussels, to the European Parliament. As you know, Germany took over the 6-month rotating EU Council presidency on July 1st, so that will last through the end of this year, which means Germany is in charge in a way that it isn't normally. It gets to set the agenda in a lot of ways and a lot of decisions that get to be made in the EU. And there's a lot of decisions to be made. Angela Merkel is speaking about a number of points she wants to see done in the EU. First and foremost, tackling the coronavirus pandemic, both from a public health perspective, but of course also from an economic perspective. The EU is facing one of its, if not the worst, recession in its history. In fact, the European Commission just came out with new numbers saying that the bloc's economy is expected to contract even worse in 2020 than first assumed a few months ago, 8.5% instead of 7.5% due to slower than expected easings out of lockdowns. So Angela Merkel is really wanting to push this multi-hundreds of billion euro relief fund that would be tied to the 7-year budget with the EU. France and Germany are on board with this decision, but there's going to be a lot of negotiating left to do about exactly how this money, if at all, gets spread around the EU to help those hard-hit countries. And Germany also wants to look at a Green Deal when it comes to climate change, digitalization, and globalization, where the European Union sits on the world stage among competing powers such as the United States and China.
So how are her words of caution, so to speak, getting heard back home?
Yes, Merkel is always quick to caution people not to feel that this pandemic is over, that the crisis is over, just because it feels like it's over. The new infections are quite low in Germany, but there are still several localized hotspots that need to be watched very carefully, and there are countries around the European Union where it's more than just localized hotspots that the WHO actually says is community transmission, which is the most dangerous form of this virus spreading. And that's being taken by many Germans in a mixed kind of sense. You do have polls showing that Germans are changing their habits. They're wearing masks. They are adhering to social distancing rules. Many people are saying they might not travel this summer like they ordinarily would. But when 50% of Germans say that they're afraid of a second wave coming of the infection, that leaves 50%, another 50% of Germans saying that they're not too concerned about it. And that's what has health officials and politicians quite worried, that there might not be enough people taking this virus seriously, and that could bring back a second wave, which many people are fearing.
So what does remain, or what are the biggest concerns where you are?
Well, the concerns are, of course, these localized hotspots, and they are concerned about getting people to stick to the rules. And those rules are, if you can't maintain social distancing, you have to wear a mask in public spaces, specifically shops and public transit. There was some talk in the last few days that some states in Germany wanted to do away with the mask requirements, and that got a very strong pushback at the federal level. Specifically, Jens Spahn, the health minister, said, absolutely not. It is way too early to be talking about removing masks, exactly because there's so much more that scientists and epidemiologists just don't know about this virus. There's still a lot of debate about the long-term consequences. You might not die from the virus, you might even recover from it, but you might have long-term health issues with your lungs, your heart, your brain. These are things that scientists just don't know about, and also unclear about how much this virus spreads through the air. And if this virus spreads through the air, which some leading researchers, both in Germany and out, believe is the case, that makes masks all the more important to protect yourself and others from breathing in these particles that might just be in the air all around us. So these are some of the major concerns that the German officials and all around the EU are really trying to take a hard look at going through these summer months when people are going to be away and coming back into the fall with schools and people coming back, and who knows what they might be bringing back with them.
Well, thank you, William, for that special report and update. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
And that special report ends our international news. We'll be back with business news in just a short while.
Watch Business Edition as we talk to business leaders and experts in sectors that are transforming Tanzania's economy.
We believe that the driver is the customer.
To change the mindset of traditional HR to the digitalization.
Make sure that everybody can get some access to financial services.
And once we understand the vision of our leaders, we then need to be behind them and help them in achieving that vision.
Business have involved mercantile operations, trade guilds for shared agricultural production, infrastructure, construction, financial sectors, tourism, and mining. Business Edition on Friday at 8:15 p.m.
And now in business news. The Deputy Governor of the Bank of Tanzania, Dr. Bernard Kibese, said that the central bank will continue to cooperate with other banks, which include establishment of mergers, in order to have fewer banks that can contribute significantly to the growth of the country's economy.
This is to ensure that our country has few banks, but that they contribute to our economy. The merger between the two banks has come at the right time, where our country has been honored with the entry into a group of countries with middle income 5 years early. I'm delighted to announce that from today, NCBA is officially in operation. In addition, we shall be launching our logo, which in the coming days will be displayed at our branches.
Tanzania Investment Center TIC has said that Tanzania has made substantial investment progress, particularly in the industrial sector, which has seen growing production of goods that previously had to be imported.
This is a big achievement. We have a common understanding of what we need as a country. We are grateful that there is now greater cooperation.
The District Commissioner of Bukoba, Deodatus Kidawili, has urged the Board of Directors of CRDB Bank and other financial institutions to learn about investment opportunities in Kagera region in order to participate fully in projects which can contribute to the economic development of individual Tanzania and the nation as a whole.
In agriculture, livestock, tourism sectors, but we have now seen additional national parks. We decided as the Board of Management to visit him and other customers so we can do business, but also address some of the challenges.
That's all for business news. Sports is next.
Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment of going away. Gay trying to go with him and he's going to be dragged through the second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment of going away. Gay trying to go with him and he's going to be dragged through the second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. position, Joaquinho. He did lose to Len.
And now in sports. Simba Sports Club have been crowned the Tanzania mainland champions for the third successive season despite a draw against Namungo FC at the Majaliwa Stadium in Lindi. The Msimbazi club was handed their championship trophy after attaining 81 points as they await the FA Cup semi-final against their main rivals, Yanga Football Club. And Bernard Morrison has continued to show his importance in the young African squad after his goal gave them a 1-0 win against stubborn Kagera at the Kaitaba Stadium in Kagera.
It's a good preparation for the Simba game. But we saw, I think the fans saw a good game today. Not boom boom and not the ball bouncing like a popcorn. And finally, yeah, that's very important. I always repeat the same thing. It's not to mock. I don't want to mock anybody.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic cheekily claimed Milan would have won Serie A and he signed at the start of the season as their upturn in form continued with a remarkable 4-2 win over Juventus. Here's more.
Ibrahimovic returned to Milan, where he previously won the Scudetto in 2011 as a free agent in January after leaving MLS and the LA Galaxy. The 38-year-old striker is still having an impact in Italy's top flight. Scored from the penalty spot against Juve last night. That strike halved a 2-goal deficit after efforts from Adrian Rabiot and Cristiano Ronaldo, and improbably propelled Milan to a come-from-behind success with Frank Kessie, Rafael Leao and Ante Rebic also on target. A 3-goal flurry with 5 minutes helped shrink the deficit, with Rebic scoring the game's final goal to seal an 18-minute span of dominance for Milan.
Eddie Nketiah set an unwanted Arsenal Premier League record on Tuesday night as the Gunners played out a 1-1 draw with Leicester City.
Leading 1-0 thanks to Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's first-half strike, the Anglo-Ghanaian was introduced for Alexander Lacazette in the 71st minute. Nevertheless, he was sent off 4 minutes later by on James Justin, with the referee consulting VAR to confirm the youngster's tackle worthy of expulsion. And that earned him place in an understandable Arsenal history book. At 21 years old and 38 days of age, Nketiah became the youngest player from the club to be expelled during an English top-flight encounter since Konstantinos Mavropanos, also against the Foxes in 2018.
And that sports item ends our news bulletin. Again, on behalf of everyone who worked to bring you this bulletin, my name is Vanessa Victor. Thank you for watching and have a good night.